this story starts. I enviously watched as my friends found success after success in their careers while we struggled to get groceries on the table. My God, what a story. I mean, so many people can, that really, really resonates to most people. Not this particular struggle. She was $800,000 in debt. Imagine that, my God. But the thing is, man, we cannot compare our chapter 1 to another person's chapter 12. And sometimes, our chapter 1 is great, and then we get to our chapter 6 and we struggle. And we look at other people's chapters 20. We think, oh man, they have it all figured out. Look at them. We cannot do that. Do not compare yourself to other people in that way, okay? And then also another thing, enviously. She enviously struggled, right? She enviously looked at other people. This is so important to also acknowledge. We want to get to a place where we look at other people and we can find joy in them. And this is this beautiful idea of let them, okay? Let them live their lives. Fantastic. Just something to think about, okay? It's like a book. You have different chapters in your book. Do not compare. Every story is completely different. Imagine you're reading a book and then you're in chapter 3 and it's not that great. What, you're going to stop reading the book? You're going to look at a different book, a different novel. Maybe you look at Harry Potter and you think, but in chapter 4 in Harry Potter, he's doing well. Okay, but it's a completely different story. Completely different person, different point, different story. Just something. This is so important to keep in mind. To deal with the anxiety and self-doubt, my main strategy became avoidance. Now she's talking about when it was hard for her. And this is so important to think about. When we have anxiety, we have stress. Man, our brain, you have to think about this as well. Our brain was built by evolution over millions and millions of years. And what worked and kept us alive, that was good, okay? And what is the way the brain knows that we are safe and we're good and we're doing well? In the terms of evolution, if we are comfortable and safe, that's it. If we are comfortable and safe, our brain thinks fantastic. Your whole life is set up. Fantastic, you're safe, you have food, you have a wife, you have a family, you feel good, you feel comfortable. So comfort was always the pinnacle of what biology wanted. And so this is so important to keep in mind. When we have a certain struggle, it doesn't matter what we do. If we take an action that makes us then feel better in the moment, our brain thinks, great, do more of that. The problem is that can mean we eat a lot of sugar and we feel better for a while, or we just stuff ourselves with food and then we feel good after a while. And avoidance is one of the most famous principles that we love to do. Because you maybe watch Netflix, you watch a movie, you do anything that avoids the problem. And in that time frame, it's not good. It's not actually tackling what's going on. But in that time frame, we feel good. And our brain then says, oh, great, solved. And this is the reason why we're then drawn back to it, okay? That's why it's so addictive when we have social media and we get a lot of the dopamine from it, these chemicals in our brain that makes us feel good. Our brain then thinks, great, do more of that. And so this is something else. The more you do it, the more your brain wants to do it. And so when you start avoiding your problems, number one, this is why you're stressed. This is why you have anxiety. Now, there are other reasons, of course. This is a summary. It's like not everything. But usually, and this is the crazy thing about it, we avoid things because we are so stressed and we have anxiety. But if we weren't avoiding those things, obviously, we would feel really good about ourselves. And what happens, you do this again and again and again, eventually we lose trust in ourselves. And that is quite the difficult place to be in, because hope is attached to that. We can have hope. We can think, oh, we can get out of it. No, I use this strategy. I'll make a plan. But if we have lost our trust in ourselves, we don't even believe ourselves deep down because we have avoided things for so long, that's tricky, okay? And there's so many ways to get out of that and approach that, and that's this channel as well. The let them theory here that Mel Robbins talks about, that will help. And there's so many other things. But this is so important to focus on. Ask yourself, are you avoiding things? And then just become aware. That's the first step. Become aware that you're doing it. And then you can you can take steps out of it. But avoidance, man, it really is something. Are you avoiding things? Yes. Become aware of it and then take steps out of it. If you've ever been in this situation, of avoiding things because of anxiety, because of stress, you understand how monumental even the simplest tasks seem. Oh my goodness. And this is why we need to remember that your comfort zone shrinks. It shrinks more and more and more. If we do not have an intention in our life, if we do not say clearly, we want to grow forward, and we want to push ourselves even a bit. We don't need to talk about pushing ourselves massively at this point, just even a little bit. You need to understand, and I don't mean you, we all, okay? We all need to understand that the comfort zone, if you say, I don't feel like it, so okay, I'm not going to do it. You're not now going to just cruise on that level. That comfort zone will shrink more and more and more. And this is what she mentions, you understand the simplest tasks, getting out of bed, opening your bills, being fully present with your family, cooking a nice meal. So important. And also this goes into now a second part as well, dopamine. Okay, dopamine, the chemical in our brain that makes us feel fantastic, especially when we look forward to something that we really anticipate being very pleasurable. We do a lot of these things like social media and pornography, anything like that. It gives us so much dopamine that then in comparison, our brain, our body's used to that. I'm sorry, cooking a meal, that's not going to cut it. Let's eat some nice ice cream. Let's eat some nice salty snacks and watch Netflix. Ooh, that's going to hit the spot, right? Let's open, X. Let's open Instagram. Oh, fantastic. We feel good. Our stress is gone in the moment. But we need to also understand that it's not just avoiding it and the brain will become used to it, but it's the pleasure that when we engage in all these pleasurable things that are up here in pleasure, those little things, walking barefoot in the grass, cooking a meal, spending time with family, it just doesn't hit the spot. But here's the hope, okay? We need to understand as well that once we kind of adjust that and we limit those super, super highly and artificially pleasurable activities, our body adjusts. And then we get the same amount of pleasure for those real things in life. Cooking, eating. My God, it's so incredible how when you cook your own meal, it just tastes better, okay? It can be very frustrating in the beginning, especially when you start cooking. Chopping is a mess. You don't like it, but eventually you get a skill and you say, okay, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to get myself a nice knife. I'm going to watch Gordon Ramsay show me how to do it with the chopping. Bam, 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 bam. Now you know how to chop. Chopping becomes fun. Eventually oh yeah, this is how you cook an onion, this is how you cook mushrooms. Great. It's like skills you just pick up, and eventually you can cook your own meals. And then, my God, you cook your meal, you sit down, you eat it. The pleasure you can get from that, right? Cooking maybe, not so fun. It is fun, but make it fun, right? Put on a playlist, do something, put on some nice lights, set the mood, make it a fun thing with intention. And before you know it, the prep is fun, cooking is fun, and then eventually what you cook is also tasty. And then it's a fantastic experience that gives you so much pleasure. But this is important. We have to understand that our brain gets used to high dopamine activities that give us this high pleasure. And we need to bring that back down, and life becomes much better.